Hello and welcome to another episode of GameSpot's weekly Game of Thrones show, Eye on Westeros. That's probably not the final title, but I do like it a lot.
Apologies for what you're about to see.
It is almost time. Season 6 kicks off this Sunday, and if you caught our last episode, you should be well versed in the biggest plot points from Season 5. So what better time to put on our tinfoil hats and go over some of the biggest fan theories around to try and make some predictions for the upcoming season. So theory/prediction number 1, we're going to find out who Jon Snow's mother is. One of the biggest fan theories out there is that R plus L equals J. Rhaegar plus Lyanna equals Jon, which means that Jon Snow isn't Ned Stark's bastard at all, but he is still a Stark. It's not really made clear, but Lyanna either runs off with or gets kidnapped by Rhaegar Targaryen. Rhaegar you'll know as being the son of the Mad King Aerys and older brother to Daenerys and Viserys. This causes a bunch of problems, not only because Rhaegar is already married, but because Lyanna is actually betrothed to Robert Baratheon. This is kind of like the big event that sparks off Robert's rebellion. You know, when all the North bands together to take on the South. And it's all sparked off by Lyanna and Rhaegar. Rhaegar ends up getting killed by Robert at the Battle of the Trident, and the Mad King Aerys ends up getting stabbed in the back by the old Kingslayer Jaime Lannister. King's Landing gets completely sacked by the North and just completely ruined, basically. And after all that's happened, Ned Stark takes a few of his friends to try and find Lyanna. And they track her down to this weird place called the Tower of Joy, which is this like weird lonely tower that Rhaegar's built for her. By the time they get there and Ned finds her, she's lying in a pool of her own blood and she ends up dying. We don't know what she died of, but it was probably childbirth. Because if you think about it, when Ned Stark returns to Winterfell, he's got a baby in tow. So it's not his, it's actually his sister's illegitimate child, who now kind of has a claim to the throne. So that's where R plus L equals J comes from. Ned Stark's been popping up in some of the promo material for Season 6, like we've seen him in the Hall of Faces, but also in the full-length trailer, we see what looks like Ned Stark and a bunch of his friends go to an area that kind of looks like where the Tower of Joy could be. So this could be it. This could be R plus L equals J confirmed. We know that the writers of Game of Thrones know who Jon Snow's mother is. George R.R. Martin posed this question to them way before filming and writing the series ever started, so they know. They've just not been telling us. Until now. Maybe. If you're a book reader, you've just been waiting for the return of Lady Stoneheart, and I think this is going to be the season where she finally makes an appearance. So we know that Catelyn Stark met her demise during the Red Wedding at the hands of the Freys, but she's resurrected and brought back by Beric Dondarrion. So Beric Dondarrion is the leader of this kind of outlaw group called the Brotherhood Without Banners, and he himself has been killed and resurrected by a Red Priest, a follower of the Lord of Light, Thoros of Maya. So we know that it's possible, and in the book this actually happens. Beric gives up his life to bring back Catelyn. But the resurrection, it isn't 100% foolproof. She kind of changes during the process. When she's brought back, her wounds haven't healed, so her cut throat means that she can't talk. And the process has changed her in a way that she's completely just filled with anger and has a unstoppable need for revenge, and she's corrupted by rage. And basically she's a complete badass, and she takes control of the Brotherhood Without Banners. I honestly think Season 6 is going to be the season that she makes her return. It seems like this series is all about resurrection, not only just like in the Hall of Faces promos and stuff, so it could be that this season is Lady Stoneheart's season. And I really hope it is, because she is a badass. Next up is my favorite fan theory, Cleganebowl. I just really hope this happens, and if it's going to be in any season, it'll have to be in this one. So Cleganebowl is another famous fan theory that states that the Clegane brothers, so Sandor and Gregor, the Mountain and the Hound, are going to end up fighting each other in this epic showdown to decide the fate of Cersei Lannister. Gregor, the Mountain, is just a sadist, and he's a rapist and a murderer, and when they're little kids, he shoves his brother's face into a fire, and that's why the Hound is all burnt, and he's just had this lifelong hatred of his brother. So how is Cleganebowl going to happen? Because both of the brothers seem to be kind of dead. Well, the last we saw the Hound, he was gravely wounded, and he dies off screen. So, you know, he's probably still alive. But in the book, there's a theory called the Gravedigger theory that says that he's actually been seen and he's alive and well. while Brienne of Tarth is wandering around Westeros, she finds this place called the Quiet Isle, and it's basically a monastery. And when she's there, she meets this reputable healer called the Elder Brother. And when she's talking to him, she finds out that the Elder Brother found the Hound, you know, like really badly wounded, and helped him. But the Elder Brother also says that the Hound is at rest. But Brienne finds the Hound's horse, who's actually really famous for being untamable, and no one can ride him apart from the Hound. And she also sees this really big guy. He's digging a grave and his face is all covered, and he seems to have the same kind of wound as the Hound had. So what's speculated is that when the Hound gets found by the Elder Brother and he saves his life, he gives up this persona of the Hound, like all the anger and hatred inside him. So the Hound is put to rest. But Sandor Clegane, the man, is alive and well, and now deeply religious. And the last time we saw Gregor was the eye thing, when he was fighting against Oberyn Martell. He won that fight, but also he got pronged by a poisoned spear. So he was gonna die, but then Cersei's weird Meister Qyburn said, oh, I can save him, but the process might change him a bit. So it's a really deadly poison that he got stuck with, so it's highly likely that he died, but Qyburn managed to keep him alive through some weird dark arts. So we've seen him like writhe under a sheet, and at the end of season 5, when Cersei's walked through King's Landing, a big hulking member of the Kingsguard just picks her up, and so that's, you know, that's probably the Mountain. So when Cersei got arrested, she chose a trial by combat, and now she has the reanimated body of the Mountain to fight for her. The Faith has the newly pious Hound to fight for them. Basically, Cleganebowl, get home. The next theory then, Jon Snow is alive. This is probably completely obvious, but this is how I think Jon Snow is going to be alive. Everyone thinks that he's going to warg out. I mean, it's well known that the Stark children can warg. We've seen Arya do it with Nymeria. Bran obviously is a famous example. He wargs into Summer all the time, and he can even warg into Hodor. So Bran's probably like the strongest warg, but Jon Snow can do it too. So this is a much bigger deal, I think, in the book. He has dreams where he wargs into Ghost, and he does it when they are scouting north of the wall, when they're looking for wildlings and things. So it's a big deal. So he can do it. But the thing is, I don't think that'll happen. If he decides to walk out into Ghost at the last minute before he dies, then like the actor of Kit Harington will be gone, and if he has a claim to the throne, that'll, you know, just be lost on a dog. So I don't think that's gonna happen. Although that dog will probably become like the highest paid dog in television history, but no, I think this other option is more likely, and that is Melisandre bringing Jon back from the dead. So Melisandre basically clung on to Stannis Baratheon because she believed that he was this legendary warrior of light, Azor Ahai, reborn. Azor Ahai managed to like take on all the others, like the White Walkers, like the last time they tried to come down into Westeros, you know, as a prophecy that he's going to be reborn. And Melisandre thought that was going to be Stannis. And it's kind of obvious that that's not Stannis, like nothing went right for that poor guy. So the other option could be that it's Jon Snow. She's a priestess of the Lord of Light, and we know that in their religion, like that magic exists. Like they can bring people back from the dead, like Thoros of Myr brought back Beric Dondarrion, Lady Stoneheart, like we know it can happen. So it's highly likely that Melisandre and Davos Seaworth are going to work together to get Jon Snow's body and bring him back from the dead. There's a line from A Dance with Dragons that a lot of people have read a lot into. I pray for a glimpse of Azor Ahai, but R'hllor only shows me snow. Jon Snow or the white stuff? You decide, but I think it's War Floppy-Haired Jon. Alright, next is that Jaime is going to kill Cersei. If you cast your mind back to the start of season 5, you'll remember a flashback scene where young Cersei and her friend go and visit Maggie the Frog, who is a fortune teller. In the books, it's made really clear by Maester Qyburn, of all people, that Maggie the Frog is actually Maggie the Magi, who uses this dark blood magic in order to tell Cersei's fortune. And actually, the fortune starts out really good. It says that Cersei will marry the king and become queen, and that she'll have 3 beautiful children, which happens. But then the fortune kind of sours. It says that a younger, more beautiful woman will come and cast down everything that Cersei holds dear. That could be one of any number of people. That could be Sansa, that could be Marjorie, that could be Daenerys. But when talking about Cersei's children, the fortune says,
gold will be their crowns. Gold, their shrouds.
meaning that all three of them will die. And we're well on the way to that right now. And then it gets even worse for Cersei. And when your tears have drowned you, the Valonqar shall wrap his hands around your pale white throat and choke the life from you. Valonqar is High Valyrian for little brother, which is why Cersei spent all of her life being completely horrid to Tyrion. Not only did he kill their mother during childbirth, but he's their little brother that could ruin everything for her. But as her gaze is so fixed upon Tyrion, she's completely overlooking another little brother of hers. Her brother, part-time lover, and father of her children, Jaime. Jaime's kind of gone through this arc of redemption as the story's gone on, whereas Cersei has just remained as like this baseline horrid human being. So this theory is kind of far-fetched, it's kind of out there, but I still love it. Okay, the last one, possibly the most far-reaching and straw-clutching of them all. The dragon has 3 heads. So this theory means that you've already bought into the theory that Rhaegar Targaryen is Jon Snow's father and that Jon Snow is actually a Targaryen. But this theory also states that another one of our favorite characters is also secretly a Targaryen, Tyrion Lannister. Hear me out. So Tywin Lannister, Tyrion's father, was Hand of the King to the Mad King Aerys. And Aerys basically made no secret that he had a massive thing for Tywin's wife, Joanna Lannister. Like, he was really super creepy about it. Like, on their wedding day, he tried to like touch her up and stuff. And it caused a big rift between him and Tywin. So while they were at King's Landing, it could be that Aerys sort of just exerted a power play over her or seduced her. But either way, it's theorized that Tyrion is actually King Aerys' son. What's interesting to note is that Tyrion, not only was he born a dwarf, but he was also born with a tail. And there have been reports in the Targaryen bloodline of babies being born malformed, and crucially, one of them was born with a tail. So that's where a lot of people are getting this evidence from. So if Jon and Tyrion are also Targaryens, then you have to think about the other one, Daenerys. So remember when she was in the House of the Undying, she has this weird vision. It's a man who could be Rhaegar, and it's a woman who could be Lyanna, and they're holding a baby. And they basically say, you know, this baby should be called Aegon, and that he's the prince that was promised, which is another name for Azor Ahai, and that his is the Song of Ice and Fire. And then the man who could be Rhaegar looks at Daenerys in the eye and says, there must be one more. The dragon has 3 heads. So if you think about it, Daenerys has 3 dragons, and each of those require a rider. So you've got Daenerys, you've got Jon Snow, and now you've got Tyrion Lannister. So that's why when Tyrion and Daenerys met, that's a big deal. So if Jon Snow gets resurrected by Melisandre and comes back and he meets the other 2, that's the dragon has 3 heads. And that's a great theory, and I love it. I don't think things will tie up that neatly, but if they did, that would be quite cool, because those seeds have been sown like throughout all the books. So that would be great to see. So what do you reckon? Do you think any of them hold water? Personally, I'm holding out for Cleganebowl. I know it could be far-fetched, but I really, really hope it happens. Let me know in the comments, or come find me on Twitter. I'm at Lucy James Games. Of course, we don't have long to wait. Season 6 kicks off this Sunday. So for a detailed breakdown / spoiler cast, make sure you come back to GameSpot.com on Monday for all the Game of Thrones gossip.